Blast me to the North Pole. It's time for the Mad Merlin's Christmas Special. Hello, welcome back, and Merry Christmas. I hope everyone's having a good time and you've got exactly what you asked Santa for. So, without further ado, let's see what's in this very shiny box. Typical, I can't undo my own wrapping. Flip it over, and dun 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 dun. Here we have the Necrons Battle Force, the World Scour Legion. So as soon as I saw this, I thought, yep, I'm going to have to get it, because every model in this, except for the Warriors, I want to add to my army. The Ophidian Destroyers just scream the classic Necron Wraiths. The Flayed ones have been my favourite Warhammer 40,000 unit since the early days of the 3rd edition Necron Codex. The Canoptic Doomstalkers are just amazing and deadly looking, and you get 2 in this box. The Locust Heavy Destroyer is, well, one of the best recent updates for a classic model that it has done. And the Psychomancer is just, well, very psychotic. But let's have a look inside and we'll go through all the sprues. So, first off, we've got our 2 Doomstalkers. And these are lovely kits. They're push fit, easy to build, and they are just really... what's the word that's gone out of my head now? I had the word. Very, very horror, sort of horror-esque and very nightmare fuel inducing. Very War of the Worlds, so they're long spindly legs and towering disposition. The main body with the 2 Gorse Flayers built in, and the massive Doom Cannon. So, and like I said, there's 2 of those. Next we have the staple of every good Necron force, the Necron Warriors. You also get 3 bases of Canoptic Scarabs. We've seen these in the Imperium magazine, in the 40k starter sets, Recruit, Elite and Command Edition. And of course, we saw them first in Indomitus. Next, my favourite unit, I think, out of the entire box is the Ophidian Destroyers. These guys just scream old school to me. As soon as I saw the reveal, roughly this time last year, the 2020 reveal after Indomitus, when the Necron range got updated, I saw these and I thought, that's just Necron Wraiths, but proper Necron Wraiths, not the Canoptic Wraiths, which we have now. These are full Necron Destroyers with whiptail bodies, scything limbs, and the now standard Ophidian, Destroyer blades. And again, these are just beautiful models. They have that horror feel again. You've got a nice selection of head options, so you know 2 models will look the same. And by the look of the arm connectors, you could probably swap the arms from model to model as well. These guys are going to be one of the first things I'm building, because, like I said, they've been one of my favourite units for a long time, next to the Flayed ones. Speaking of, here we have the 5 Necron Flayed ones. I've already messed around with this kit, which you'd know because I mentioned it in my Imperium unboxing video yesterday. I've already messed around with this kit, and with a few little snippings and shaving away of nubs and slot connectors, you could easily mix and match these arms and torsos, and even indeed some of the legs can be swapped around. Parts 42 and 43, I think it was, can go on torso 1, and parts 10 and 9 can easily go on, I think it's torso 44. Or might even be 32. These guys aren't exactly the easiest to put together. They are very fiddly. You build things in a very backwards manner, I guess. The legs are usually one of the last things I think to go on. I'll have to double check. The arms are one of the last things to go on before the torso fronts. Most of the heads have a very similar connector, and I've managed to swap each of the heads around to each of the different torsos. One did require a little bit of trimming on the notch on the neck joint, but other than that, they fitted on perfectly. So again, you can get a bit of variety if you're willing to take the blade to your models. Next up, we have the the Locust Heavy Destroyer. This big bad boy carries a big bad gun. One of 2 options. You've got the Eradicator Array, I think that's what it's called, I'm not too sure. I'll have to double check the data sheet. It doesn't say on the back of the box. But I'm going to be equipping mine, well, I'm hopefully going to be equipping mine so that I can swap between the 2. But I'd rather go classic and go with the Gore's Destructor. So this is a very nice update to the Locust design. You still have the hip joints that go into the actual grav platform. Much bigger torso compared to the rest of the destroyers. 2 chunky arms and 1 smaller support arm, which makes for a fun posed model, giving you 3 arm options, and obviously each of those are going to be required to hold the guns up. But it's a nice different style to the normal destroyers being only 2 armed, or in the case of the destroyers actually they're only ever 1 armed, because the weapon was built onto the right side of the body for the heavy destroyers, the original models. But it's nice to see a faithful update to a classic model. We got some extra base detailing here. So, got the main rock for where he slots into. And then we've got some optional smaller rocks and skulls, and even one with a little scarab on. And finally, in our box, our last model is the Psychomancer. This is a rather gruesome looking model. The way he's just all hunched up like an insect and floating on his tendrils is very scary and gothic. He's projecting a skull, which adds to the horror-esque stylings. And we've got the singular eye and long chin, which has become pretty standard for cryptex. But all in all, he's a rather nice little kit. You got his projector arm there, as well as his pointing arm and his arm to hold his stave. And he's going to be a very Probably another fiddly model, but he's going to be a very fun model to put together, I think. And of course, you need bases, and we have quite the collection. So we've got 2 big bases for our Canoptic Doomstalkers. They are just over 3 inches wide. We have the 2.5 inch wide base for our Destroyer, 40mm base for the Psychomancer. Then we have 3 40mm bases for the Scarabs, the 32mm bases for the Flayed ones, the 28mm base for the Plasma Sight, which is on the Destroyers, and the 50mm bases for our Destroyers. And finally, a bag of 32 peg hole bases for our Necron Warriors. And lastly, we get a smattering of instructions. I'll have a quick flick through each of these, and I'll get to my final thoughts. So yeah, he's going to be very intricate. I have built fiddlier models. St. Celestine comes to mind. She only had 2 connector posts on the bottom of her flowing scrolls. So this guy doesn't look too much unbalanced, but we have to wait and see. We got our Necron Warriors, which anyone will know if you've watched any of my videos. I do mention how these guys can be interchangeable, but you are going to have to get messy with your knife, cutting off shoulder connectors and gluing on guns in strange positions. But you can easily mix and match arms if you need to make your models a little bit more unique. Same goes to the Flayed ones. I've managed to mix and match the arms between torsos. I've even used 2 different arms from 2 different torsos. The only problem you will have is the legs are kind of keyed in one specific way, so you can't mix and match those as freely as others. But as I mentioned earlier, you can swap certain pairs from model to model, those that have a very similar pose. Like I said, I think it's 31 and 30 have a similar pose to 20 and 19, and 43 and 42 has a similar pose to 9 and 10. The hardest one to change over the pose of is, I think it's this guy, because he's got flesh draped around the leg where it connects into the torso. Other than that, they're fun little models. We have our Locust Heavy Destroyer. Oh, fold out instructions, nice. And you got the 2 optional guns. I think it's the Emphatic Annihilator, something like that. And then we got the Gorse Destructor. So that's how we see him go together. And like I say, you got optional extras. You've only got 3 holes that need filling up. There you got skull, small rock, and 2 different types of big rock. And it doesn't have his gun, but one is a 3D free shot, and one is a single shot, but has higher strength, better AP, and more damage, which is definitely what I'm going to go for. So I think my Necrons do lack a little in the way of anti-armor, so him and the Doomstalkers are going to be bringing the pain. Here's our Doomstalker, much like the Reanimation Stalker, not the Reanimator, that's it. Much like the Reanimator brother on those long spindly legs. Very, very creepy looking. And we've got his 2 different shots for the gun, a more focused blast for short range, or more dispersed blast for short range, or more focused blast for long range of higher damage, higher AP, and more damage, higher strength. Then he's got his anti-personnel gun, the Gauss Destroyer, Gauss Blaster, and finally the Ophidian Destroyers with Card Deck Plasma Sight. So I said these are definitely going to be my most favourite unit out of the entire box. You've got plenty of head options, so each one can be different. And by the looks of things, you could easily swap the arms around from model to model as well. There we have it. So there we have the Mad Merlin's Christmas special with the Necrons Battle Force World Scour Legion. I believe these are still available. They are £130 from Games Workshop for this one, the Space Marines and the Sisters of Battle, with the Orcs, Death Guard and Mechanicus being 125. Actually, I think the Orcs 130 as well, I can't remember. The least of those I was interested in anyway was the Orcs and possibly the Death Guard, because the Death Guard, you didn't really get a proper HQ, you got a Plague Marine champion that you was meant to run as a Chaos Lord. But this one and the Space Marine one I have picked up, this one that I'm opening now, and the Space Marine one will be part of my New Year project. So I'll be getting that towards the end of January. So, like I said before, I hope you've had a good Christmas and will get everything that you've asked for. I'm off to go build this and paint some models and chill out with some nice movies. So I will wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and if I don't see you before, have a good New Year. But I'd like to thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share and subscribe. Click my affiliate link and buy me a coffee link in the description down below. If you use my social medias, there is a link to a wish list if ever you want to dedicate anything to, donate anything towards the channel, or want a dedicated video for yourself. Please feel free to get in touch. So, Merry Christmas, and this is Merlin saying I'm mad about painting. Goodbye.